My parents often ask me, Parvez, what is this obsession of yours with spiritual enlightenment? So I, from, so I'm 27 years old right now, while I'm while I'm recording this, and I have been interested in spirituality and meditation and enlightenment, all those kinds of things. I have been interested in since I was a teenager. Well, not exactly teenager, but since I was a young adult, you can say, since I was 17 or 18 years old. More like 18 years old. Yeah, that would be more accurate to say. So, I now, when I was 18, I started meditating, and I was already quite interested in meditation and spirituality and enlightenment because, to my simple understanding, it felt like that is the highest thing that a human can achieve in his or her lifetime. So I just felt like everything else seems like bullshit because ultimately, if I become an enlightened being, I don't need anything else. I just need, if become enlightened, that's it. That's the highest point of life. I've reached there, and after that, I can, I thought, like, yeah, let's become enlightened, and then we'll think of something else. So I got really fascinated by enlightenment. So the more interested I became in spirituality, um, the lesser interest I I showed in my day to day activities, like studying or planning for a career or a family, of your future, that kind of stuff. Um, Now came the point, like, fast forward to 5 years. Now I'm telling my parents that I have been meditating for more than, yeah, 5 years or something, and now I'm interested in going to a spiritual retreat, and I am thinking of becoming a full-time monk, which is like my deepest desire, to be honest, to become a full-time monk. But I haven't still done it because I have like some moral and ethical concerns regarding that. Because the thing is, like, the way I see it, if I become a full-time monk and leave civilization, um so I will basically be sponsored and financially sponsored by donations that is given by people, hardworking people who are still struggling in this the whole maya, and just hustling their way through life or whatever. Like, they're still earning money, doing stuff. So the thing around money is always like the issue for me, because I feel like if I become a monk, I'll be like sponsored by people who are earning money. I mean, they have to earn money, but I can enjoy my life in peace being a monk. So that doesn't feel fair in some sense, I guess. But I told my family that I want to become a monk. So they asked me, like, what is this fascination with this becoming a monk and the spiritual path? I mean, for them, and I understand their point of view. I mean, why they say that. I mean, for them, it's like their argument is simple. They tell me, like, Parvez, you are just 27 years old and you're in your 20s. So you're a young guy. You're like the definition of a young guy because you haven't even touched the age of 30. So why not focus on your career now, for now, and then build a family, start your family, have some children, and then they don't even focus on the children aspect. I've told them, like, I'm not interested in like having children or anything like that, or raising a family of my own. Because like spiritual people, they have a tendency to not have their own kids and to not have their own family. Um, which is kind of like, because it's goes against spiritual concept. You know what I mean, right? Like, if you have some kind of an idea about spirituality, because spiritual people are so focused on themselves and their own mental development and their spiritual and mental development, that they just consider that having they just they from their point of view, having a family would be a hindrance, kind of a back. It will hold them back to it will regress their spiritual development. So because having a family is all, see, it's all about like the whole sex thing comes into play. Like you have to have sex with your partner, and then even to continue and be in a healthy relationship, you have to maintain sexual intercourse, and you have to maintain a sexual relationship with your partner, and then you have to raise your children. So it becomes a whole animalistic thing again, and spirituality is more like a spiritual thing. It's beyond the animal nature, it's beyond the human nature, right? So it goes against the spiritual ethics in some ways. You know what I mean. You completely understand what I mean. If you are in if you have any kind of spiritual context, then you will completely understand what I'm saying here. So from my parents' point of view, they don't they're completely fine. My parents are actually very liberal minded. I mean, they're very open minded. From I mean, based on the kind of upbringing they had, I would say they're quite open minded, and they have given me a lot of liberty, to be honest, regarding everything in my life. Not that I don't deserve it, but I think that is any human's basic rights. But I'm just comparing to other Indian people of my age. I mean, comparing to, like, so in India, it's very common to for parents to impose their whatever they want out of you. Like in India, it's a very common notion for children to be treated as like property. You like if you like your parent, you will be treated like your parents' property if you live in India. So considering that kind of a archaic mindset, I would say that my parents have given me a lot of liberty, which I'm grateful for. Yes. But the thing is, like what I was saying. So my parents say, like, first focus on your career, and then, like, for them, for in their mind, it's like the spirituality. And not just in my parents, I've seen it, like even my friends have told me this, with whom I have shared this deepest desire of becoming a monk and becoming spiritual and taking the spiritual path. They tell me like the same thing, which is that why not wait till you're like 50s or 60s, because most of the, I mean, first you have to become an uncle. I mean, for them, they're in their mind, you have to first become an uncle and then take the spiritual pathway, because first you have to earn money and then have some substantial fun and then retire and then have a spiritual, then take the spiritual path, which I completely understand where they're coming from. But see, the point is the kind of era that we are living right now, and I was down for that. I mean, that is what I had in my mind initially when it came to this the whole spiritual thing. But look at the world around you. If you are not a closed minded individual, and if you're not a person living under a rock, or if you're not a person who is in complete denial mode, then, and if you're honest, then you will see that there's utter chaos around the world that we live in right now. We have so much political tensions in the world. It is not a joke, or it is not a clickbait kind of thing to say that World War III might happen in the next 5 years. It's very possible, highly likely that it might happen in the next 5 years, maybe in the next 5 to 10 years, but it's very likely that it can happen. Like you can bet, right? World War III can happen because there is so much political tension around the world. But even though I would say, like, it is still, I would bet like World War III might not happen, because our collective human consciousness, looking at history, like looking go after having gone through two world wars, I think our collective human consciousness has evolved to an extent where World War III might be like the tensions will always be there, but it might just not happen because of, like we will always be reminded by the horrors of the previous wars, and every country, no matter if it is North Korea or Russia or whatever, they might ultimately be forced to, kind of not um, escalate a war that could lead to a like a global catastrophe. And because our weapons, every country, including poor countries like North Korea and Pakistan, also have nuclear arsenal. So it would be a extinction level kind of a war if World War III breaks out. So keeping that in mind, like I think the world leaders, I have this much faith that um at least like for their own selfish needs, they will not declare a world war. I feel so, anyways. But even if we think about the world war or the global political tensions, maybe that might not be a thing of concern. But still, there are concerns like climate change and AI. So first big concern is climate change, um which people are like, I'm not gonna say that nobody's taking it seriously. The people in power are really like have lost their sleeps at night because they know what's up. And any if you have your eyes and ears open, and if you have been following the news, then you know that how serious climate change really is. Like it is extremely serious, I might say, like the climate change issue. um and like climate change is such a like so the thing about climate change is, since we were kids, we have been hearing a lot and reading in our books about environmental change and climate change and all that stuff. How the human psychology works is that, you know most people will say that, yeah, we have been hearing about climate change for a long time, but nothing has happened. But the thing is, gradually things were happening, but nobody was paying attention, because the attention span of humans are so bad and so tiny that humans can only care about what is going to happen the next year. So right now we are at the end of this year 2024. So what humans really care about, what human beings really care about, is what is going to happen in the next year 2025, because that is the maximum extent of the vision that comes for most people. Most people cannot see beyond one more year, and that too, their vision is limited to their life. So when people think about their about the future, they're thinking about their future and the future of their kids. So first of all, yeah, most people don't have any global vision. And people are selfish, but that is not the problem. People, I mean, who is going to judge if you are selfish? Let's say you care about your children, you don't care what happens to someone in other countries or other children of your neighborhood. Let's say you don't really care. I mean, all you care about your children. Well, that's fine. That's human nature to care about your children. But if the difference between intelligent and stupid people here would be that intelligent people know that climate change is going to affect the lives of their own children, and stupid people are going to think like, oh, climate change, I'll let that be. New Delhi, there is pollution in New Delhi, I'll shift to Bangalore, or I'll shift to some other country, I'll shift to Canada. But the thing is, climate change is, I mean, where you will go. I mean, ultimately you're going to move around the world. I mean, the climate change is really serious, and I don't want to go into a lot of details because then this video will be really long. But if you do a little bit of Google search for 5 minutes, you will shit your pants, really, if you do some genuine research with full honesty and an honest intention to know about actually if this is a major concern or whatnot. If you do a Google search for 5 minutes about climate change, and if you read a few articles about the current scenario of climate change, you will literally shit your pants, because it is a big concern. Let's be honest. And coupled with AI, even though like the articles that I was reading, a lot of them are saying like AI can be used to reverse climate change, like to make the climate better for our survival, which is a good thing. But we have a lot in our hands, honestly. I mean, it's not a joke. I mean, climate change is no more a joke. And I don't care if you're a liberal or a conservative, because this is now beyond politics. This is the survival of our species. And the point is, like, people won't don't understand that climate change won't be so catastrophic in the next 5 years that you may not be able to survive. That's not the problem. The problem is that you will survive and your children will survive, but the survival will come at a really high cost. I mean, in the next 10 to 20 years, you will have massive, first of all, you will have massive water shortages around India, especially in places like New Delhi. You will have, like, people will fight for, you'll have to probably buy water at crazy unimaginable prices, because water will be at a crisis, and even breathable air would be will hit a crisis point, and you will have to probably, god knows, maybe buy some clean air to breathe, at a rate obviously which will push you, like punch you down to the ground, but you will have to do it because you have to survive. We are all programmed for survival. We will try to survive any way we can, but then you can imagine the quality of your life, like they say, right? The quality of your life will not be so pleasant, you know. I mean, you will not be enjoying your day-to-day life. You will be in survival mode. So even though you might not be extinct yet, but the point of extinction, before the point of extinction even hits you, you will face survival uh, drama and survival episodes in your life, which would be so horrifyingly bad, or like so horrifying, that you don't want to even experience them in your dreams, in your worst nightmares. So that is what is up when it comes to this topic of climate change. And I'm like, obviously most people don't care because nobody has the time. I'm not blaming anyone or whoever is listening to this. I'm not calling you dumb or anything. I get it. Most people don't have the time. They're worried about their career, they're worried about their future, they're worried about their children, whatever. Like, I don't know what stage of your life you are at right now, but this is a big concern. I mean, and it's a kind of a concern which makes me think, like, people ask me to plan my future and plan my marriage. People ask me things like, when am I getting married, and plan what am I gonna do in my future, what is gonna be my career. And I'm thinking, like, okay, career, all that, I get it, but what about, like, how crazy things are gonna be? Like, people, I'm sure most people don't even have the vision to see how crazy things are gonna be if, and it doesn't matter if we take it seriously, because this is, see, I'm not gonna tell you to plant some trees. Nothing, nobody can stop this. This is, we have taken things to a point where it's just kind of irreversible. I mean, you just have to wait and watch what happens. Whatever happens, you have to go through it. And the way I see things, I am not optimistic, and I'm not gonna lie about it. That I'm gonna tell you some feel good stuff, like, yeah, we should get together. I'm not trying to even motivate you, because I don't think, frankly speaking, I don't think there's a point to motivate here anymore. I mean, that ship has sailed. So climate change is gonna be a big deal, and it is the biggest challenge that we are gonna face as a species in the next upcoming 10 to 20 years. And it is gonna, um let's not say anything that's gonna, whatever. I mean, I can say a lot of stuff, use a lot of words, because that would be the appropriate way to describe what I am, the extent of the horror that we are going to see in the next 10 to 20 years. Hopefully that doesn't happen, and hopefully I'm wrong about everything that I'm saying in this video. I pray to god that I'm wrong. I pray to god that I'm completely wrong, because I honestly don't want to the future that I am envisioning in my mind, based on my intelligence that have been given by the universe. Um, I hope that doesn't happen in the next 10 to 20 years, and hopefully everything becomes, a world becomes a better place to live in, or at least, if not better, it becomes a stable place to live in, so that people can live a decent life, most people. But yeah, climate change is gonna, it's a concern. Climate change, AI, and World War III. But these are all interrelated. Honestly, if you just put a little bit of thought into it, you will understand what I'm saying here. AI, climate change, and World War III. All of these three topics that I just talked about, these are all interrelated, and these are going to be the main three concerns that is going to haunt humanity for the next 10 to 20 years. But climate change is the top boss here, so we gotta wait and watch what happens.